It's no stretch to say Obsession, the 2026 debut of director Curry Barker, has the internet in its grips. It's a tight, well-written, and especially well-acted bit of horror with a strong focus on character, lighting, and personality. The world of Obsession, for what little we get to see of it, feels lived in and real and very, very familiar, which is probably why so many people can't stop talking about it.
So here we get a look at who Nikki is. And she seems like she's kind of one of those girls who's like those ballbuster types, you know? She's always like, ha, bitch can't handle all this. I've never met a guy who can keep up with me. And then they just lay there like SpongeBob.
However, as with the last internet-based conversation about women and bears, folks are falling short of expectations with their impressions of the film, particularly when it comes to understanding just how culpable Baron, or Bear, the protagonist of Obsession, is in the actions he takes over the course of the narrative. As with the viral internet question, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a man or a bear, Obsession presents you with certain explicit and surface-level facts, but requires you to interrogate the situation from more than one perspective to truly understand the scenario at play. Obsession arrives at a similar point from almost the inverse direction. Given what you see on screen, how responsible is Bear for what happened?
Tonight's the night.
Shit! God damn it!
Are you okay?
Obviously, even the most surface-level understanding of the film should net you with at least a little bit or at all, but some folks, for various reasons, have trouble with even that. You might be thinking that you're in the clear if you at least say he's completely responsible for everything that happens after the One Wish Willow is broken. This is where Obsession tricks you, and to explain this, we have to compare some events from the beginning and end of the film. So, obviously, spoilers, leave, etc., go watch the movie, it's good. Obsession ends with a scene almost identical to the title shot. The, for simplicity's sake, we'll say mind-controlled, Nikki is crying and holding Bear's body as he dies of an overdose. The curse is then broken, and she returns to her senses. In the beginning of the film, following a scene at a diner where Bear very convincingly confesses his feelings to an anonymous woman standing in for Nikki, he returns home to discover his cat has passed away from getting into Bear's deceased grandmother's leftover sleeping pills. The cat, like Bear at the end of the film when he dies from overdosing on the same medicine, is found foaming at the mouth, the bottle of pills conspicuously opened by the cat's food. And it's left entirely ambiguous as to how the cat accessed the bottle. Obviously, we'll return to this, but keep it in mind. The inciting events for the film follow this scene, with Bear traveling to a sort of hippie magic crystal store in town to replace a necklace Nikki had accidentally dropped down a drain. This necklace, from her mother, is clearly important to her, but Bear's solution is to replace this item entirely. And here you pretty much find out there is no way he's actually in love with Nikki. He doesn't know what kind of stone it is, where it can be found, what would serve as a replacement, and, more to the point, even if he could find some cheap piece of jewelry that looked the same, it obviously wouldn't have the same value as something Nikki got from her mother. Instead, he buys a One Wish Willow, which he ultimately uses to make Nikki love him more than anything else on Earth, creating the main conflict in the plot. For the purposes of this video, all you need to know about the heart of the film is that Nikki is obviously not herself. Everybody who knows her can tell she's somehow lost her mind, and Bear continues with this forced relationship anyway. In possibly the best known scene from the film to date, he discovers Nikki has been lying to him about why she needs to be with him. A fabricated narrative about her estranged father receiving a cancer diagnosis. He lightly confronts her about the issue, she has a mild public freakout, and one of the darkest scenes in a movie with murder, body snatching, and self-harm plays out. The thing possessing Nikki, a secondary sort of unnamed character also played by the phenomenal Indy Navarrete, phrases the lie she told about Nikki's father in such a way it's clear she's really asking Bear if he actually cares about the true lie at the heart of their relationship.
Then why does it matter?
Doesn't matter to me.
Bear's reaction to this is possibly the only confident moment he has as a character in the entire film. He smugly replies, "Not a bit," and the scene cuts to them having sex back at his house. In no uncertain terms, the question is, do you mind what you're about to do to this body's rape? At this point in the story, Bear has already seen the real Nikki surfacing for short, terrifying moments, both desperately trying to understand what's happening to her and expressing extreme terror and revulsion at finding herself in intimate situations with Bear. And this flipping back and forth, not all of it is even necessarily Nikki. We don't know whether or not it's actually her every time, as the thing controlling her clearly both lives to acquiesce to Bear's wish and also ruthlessly torture him. The important fact here is that Nikki is in no way in control of her faculties throughout the heart of the film, and Bear is taking advantage of that. Even when dealing with the mind-controlled Nikki becomes overwhelming, he doesn't immediately try to free Nikki, instead opting to change or amend his wish. Bear doesn't mind keeping Nikki against her will and even raping her for the rest of their lives, so long as her erratic behavior doesn't become an issue for him. It's not until he starts feeling endangered and Nikki murders a mutual friend in cold blood in front of him that he starts to accept that he needs to undo the wish. And while you might say this is all just the stress of his new reality crashing over him throughout the movie, I personally think it's fairly obvious that Bear has been a fucking monster the entire time. He is, without reservation, an active and intentional predator. Throughout Obsession is an omnipresent cat motive. Bear's cat dies in the beginning of the film. Nikki repeatedly desecrates the cat's corpse, first digging it up and creating an elaborate shrine around it for Bear, then even trying to secretly feed him bits of the cat hidden in a sandwich. The company that makes the One Wish Willows is named Tabby Cat Curiosities, and, of course, Bear's death in the finale directly mirrors the cat's demise at the start of the film. I'll be direct here. He killed the fucking cat. He killed the cat and tricked you, the audience, into thinking he ever gave a shit about it by crying through the title card. A title card that reads Obsession, stitched into the bed where a massive amount of the movie's horror scenes, particularly the ones Bear is a specific target of, occur. And it goes deeper than that. Nikki is suggested to have a slight issue with abusing party drugs and has a commonly known nickname, Freaky Nikki, that she absolutely hates. Bear's schlubby, unimpressive friend Ian is revealed to have had a few hookups with Nikki despite her not really seeming remotely interested in him as a person, much less as a sexual partner. He's the first one to bring up Nikki may have been on Molly the night Bear breaks the Wishing Willow and that she's used the drug in the past. It's a fact you may take at face value, like a cat getting into a bottle of sleeping pills left open near its food bowl. Cats seeking out medicine on their own just for the taste of it. Girls dropping doses of party drugs during trivia night. Obsession is packed with little narrative backbeats like this throughout, and if you pay attention, they paint not a different picture of Bear, but a more thorough one. His introduction scene, where he talks about all the reasons he's in love with Nikki, is completely vapid and empty. These are adults in their mid-20s that work together, go out drinking together, and yet Bear knows next to nothing about this girl he's in love with. He says he hears her in every song, but that means literally nothing. And when Nikki's real personality is stripped away completely and replaced by a psychotic, obsessed version of herself, there's nothing about the real Nikki Bear misses enough to bring back. Bear is the true antagonist of Obsession, both to Nikki and his friends and even you, the viewer. As he describes himself, closed book. You have to do the work to open and read. From the first scenes, he's trying to trick not just the characters in the film, but also you, as a passive observer of this story, into believing he's less of a monster than he really is. It's not until late in the narrative that you find out expressly how awful Bear can be, but once you've seen that, why not let the knowledge of who he really is and what he's really capable of refresh your understanding of how the movie begins? It's because he, and even you yourself, want to believe he's just a nice guy who got taken advantage of by the circumstances. That an extrinsic force is more responsible for his actions than his own motivations and behaviors. But that's not the case. He is a liar, a manipulator, and an opportunistic rapist. He wouldn't kill his cat, but he'd help hide the body of a longtime friend who was just murdered in front of him. He wouldn't kill his cat, but he'd try to renegotiate a Faustian deal to keep raping a girl whose ability to consent he'd stripped away. Well, even if you're still not convinced, the original script for Obsession is far less ambiguous about Bear's nature. Interior: Bear's house, living room, night. A small old house with faded yellow walls. A tapestry behind the couch serves as a poor man's wallpaper. Bear, 25, slouches on the couch, a depressed existence. He's decent looking but lacks self-confidence. He fixates on a pivotal scene from a classic romance film on a small TV. It echoes, adding an eerie ambiance to the room. Man on TV. I've often wondered what it means to truly love someone, and then I realized it's what I feel for you. It's a love that defies the limitations of the world, that remains steadfast even in the face of chaos. Even if the world lost its color, if hope faded into the night, my love for you wouldn't falter. It's unwavering and enduring. and it fills every fiber of my being. Bear's eyes tell the story of a man who yearns for love but enjoys wallowing in his disappointments. He looks down at the ground in front of him and sighs. In the center of the room, a dead cat lies where the coffee table should be. Its body is stiff, and the grease from its hair has begun to seep into the carpet, causing it to smell. Bear takes a deep breath and finally stands up. Interior, Bear's house, kitchen, continuous. Countertops cluttered with junk. On the tile floor, a straw basket, pills, and candle wax from a shattered candle. Bear scoops the pills back into their bottle reluctantly. Interior, Bear's house, bathroom, continuous. Bear opens the mirror medicine cabinet and places a pill bottle inside. He shuts the cabinet and looks at himself in the mirror. He tests out a smile. Eerie. Interior, Bear's house, living room, moments later. The coffee table is shoved aside. Bear, wearing rubber gloves and a dust mask, opens a trash bag over the cat's corpse. Bear drops the now heavy trash bag into a trash can. On his hands and knees, he scrubs grease and wax from the carpet. His phone rings in another room. Interior, Bear's house, bedroom, moments later. Bear, center screen, illuminated only by a warm lamp behind him, sits on the edge of his bed, crying. Probably about the cat, or Nikki, or his life. Maybe all of the above. The trick at the heart of obsession is getting you, the viewer, to excuse Bear's behavior by pretending he's somehow helpless. That he's to some degree a victim of circumstance. That it's the One Wish Willow and the thing inside Nikki, not Bear, who caused all of this. Because then you'll free yourself to interrogate only the behaviors of the man who broke the One Wish Willow, and not the true nature of the man who bought it. The movie opens on not a confession of love, but the performance of a confession of love, and then cuts to the sequence of Bear mourning his cat, which itself is another performance. In response to a live stream I did covering the Alex Myers video on obsession, a chatter countered who would he be crying for if he's alone when he finds the cat? And the answer is simple. He's crying for you, the audience. Because everything about Bear is a performance, and he knows he has to practice to get it right. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be putting out shorter videos like this one more often as I work on the longer and more complicated projects in the background. Please like and subscribe. Join our Patreon to get access to videos like this early and ad-free. And if you'd like to support me, just take a second to share this video and give it some hype points using the YouTube mobile app. Next short video is going to be on another film I enjoyed, so keep a lookout for that. And until next time, as always, stay safe out there.